What's up everybody, and welcome to the 11th episode of our F750 CrewCab build series. In the previous episode, you watched us swap our 2016 firewall with our Densite CrewCab firewall, which means in today's episode, we're going to morph together our 2016, not steering wheel column, our 2016 windshield wiper assembly with the windshield wiper assembly of our Densite CrewCab. What this will allow us to do is when the time comes to start wiring this project, it'll be a simple plug and play process with the new motor, but the old assembly that bolts right into the firewall. So there's nothing to it but to do it. Stay tuned. All right, you guys, we are here at the donor truck today. I need to look for two things on this bad boy. There's a local gentleman to me that he has a shop that he does rebuilds, he does come-in swaps and old Fords, and so he reached out to me and asked me if I had an extra set of F750 fenders because he has an F750 CrewCab 2 that came from back east, and the fenders and the inner fenders are in not so great shape. So I'm gonna be here, take some pictures for him, send them his way. I think they'll work out. Besides the surface rust, these are in pretty dang condition, good condition, excuse me. There's no rusting, there's no significant damage or dents. The only damage that I see right here is this guy right here. But he does really good body work and things like that. So that's probably a nothing for him. Second thing I'm here for is, well, we're doing a wiper assembly swap today. So I need to check out this assembly because the one on the F750 CrewCab, the mounting bracket, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it. The mounting bracket's right here. The one on the CrewCab is broken on both sides, I believe. So where it mounts, I can only get 2 bolts in it. It's also corroded and damaged, and I don't really want to put that back into the truck, and so I'm going to see if this one's better. The whole point of this whole entire truck is to be able to take parts from it and directly install it onto the CrewCab project. So that's what I'm here to do today. I'm going to check this out. I'm going to have to remove some of the stuff. You might not be able to actually see anything that I do, but that's why I'm here. So there's nothing to it but to do it. I'm gonna dig around here, see if we can't use this assembly, and I'll give you guys an update here shortly. Well, that was a dud. We are 0 for 2 on windshield wiper assemblies not being cracked. So it must be a pretty common thing to have the bottom bolt be cracked off. I mean, it's pretty thin material, so I kind of understand. But now I have to look online, see if I can't find one. Sorry, it's getting really dark because it's a very cloudy day out right now. So I'm gonna jump on the internet. I'm gonna see if I can't find one. We're gonna head to Kyle's shop and get going on this swap. All right, you guys, while Kyle's inside grinding down some welds and re-welding some of my crappy welding job, I'm gonna jump out here to the donor truck and I'm going to expose the windshield wiper assembly and see how we might be able to use that in the F750 CrewCab. That'll help us with the wiring issues and keeping everything a plug-and-play system from the donor truck. Worst case scenario, we might be able to use the motor from this assembly and just use the old assembly where it mounts up to the firewall and things like that. All right, you guys, I'm really sorry if you guys can hear the wind. It's getting a little windy out here, but we have the windshield wiper assembly exposed. It was pretty easy. There's 2 pieces of the hood cowl. They just pop right out. There's a couple bolts, one right here, one over there, and I think there might be one in the middle. So I'm gonna remove those, completely remove it, and completely remove the assembly, and I'm gonna go take it inside to where you guys can actually probably hear me without all the wind noises. And we're gonna see how we can manipulate this into working into the F750. Alrighty, so I got the windshield wiper assembly out of the 2016 Super Duty, and here's the factory F750 motor and the mount. Obviously the assembly would go out and that would be the whole thing. But my thought process is to take off the motor and see if we can't rig it up to fit onto the bracket. It looks like it's being held by 3 bolts, each one of them. And then it has an arm that comes up and out. Very similar to this one. Obviously I'm going to see, but it has the 3 bolts with the arm coming out, and then from there on you have the rest of the assembly to the windshield wipers. So I'm going to take those off real quick, see if I can't swap them out, put it on there, and we might luck out and it might be a perfect match, or we might have to do some modifications to the arm here. But who knows? So I'm going to knock those out of the park really quickly, swap them over, and I will give you guys an update here shortly. Alright you guys, we got the motors off of the old bracket, the new motor off the new bracket, and so it doesn't line up with the factory holes from the F750, which I knew it was very slim to none chance that it would. But it does need to go something like that. I know the motor's off to the side instead of straight up and down like it was in the factory F750, but in the donor truck, the 2016 Super Duty, it was off kiltered on the side, and I need to keep it just like this because of the wiring harness that will be coming into it. So my thought process is maybe welding all these holes back up, placing it, and re-drilling out holes. I also want to make sure that where the arms come out is centered in that hole right there. I tried to line it up with one of the holes, see if we can't utilize one and redo 2 of them, but when I line it up with any of the holes, that bad boy is not centered in there. So that's the next step. Is I'm actually going to go get the arms, see if they attach to this at all, and see if there's any chance with that. But I think that's what we're going to do next. Is I'm just going to weld up these holes and re-drill out where this needs to go, in terms of having the right angle for the wiring harness and also the right length of wire to the motor. So there's nothing to it but to do it. Let's go get those arms of the original truck and see if I can't modify them to work with this guy. All right, you guys, update time. New day here, new parts. I have 2 new windshield wiper assembly arms. The reason why I got new ones were the old ones are corroded, they're pitting, and the brackets where they mount are broken. One's right here is completely missing a hole right here. This one's cracked. So what I did was I just got I got refurbished ones off eBay. The gentleman's store, I believe, is PMS Auto or PMS Parts. I'll link his store description in the bio of this video so you guys can go check it out. He's got tons of parts for dent side and bump side forwards. So what we're doing now is I need to take this square, maybe black background. See how it's squarish? It's not perfectly circular. Well, I need to take that and I need to make the same shape out of this guy. This is the new motor for the assembly out of the 16. So I'm just gonna grind down each side to where I can get this into place, pop it on, and then we should essentially be able to assemble all of this stuff with this arm and the new motor just like it came out of the 2016 Super Duty. So I'm gonna get going on that. I'll give you guys an update here shortly, and we'll see how it works. Alrighty, I sanded this guy down. I think I might have gone a little overboard because once it goes in there, it is a little loosey-goosey. So what I might do is once it's in place, obviously there's a nut that goes on top of it. If we're worried that it might slip over time, I might just put a tack on the back side, and that'll keep it in place, well, for about as long as we ever need it to. So up next, I'm going to fill these 3 holes just because I want to fill them. I don't necessarily need to, but I want to fill them so that way it's almost like a new piece of metal that I can locate all my holes, and that way I'm not worried about slipping into one of these or not. So that's up next. Fill these holes. I'm going to leave the middle one obviously because that's where that bad boy goes through. And then I'll mark everything out, drill them out, and see if we can attach the motor to the old bracket. So there's nothing to it but to do it. I'll give you guys an update here shortly. Alrighty, we've successfully morphed together a 2016 windshield wiper assembly with a 1976 windshield wiper assembly. Who knows if this is going to work? I think it should. I'm going to go mock it up and see how it bolts in. The motor is in place on the factory 76 bracket. I only have 2 of the 3 bolts in there just to have it snug, see if it fits. That way if we have to modify anything, I can just take it out really quickly. This will all be cleaned up and painted, so the raw metal won't be visible. But for our purposes right now and test fitting it and seeing if it'll work, this will be perfectly fine for what it needs to do. So I'm going to go toss it in the truck. We'll give you guys an update here shortly, and with a little bit of luck, this should work. Alright you guys, update time. It fits relatively well for the first attempt. I was able to get 2 of the bolts in, but there's a 3rd one that goes up under here. It's not completely pushed into its original position, and I think it's because that factory mounting point is hitting the new firewall. If you look on the side, you can see that space right there. I can obviously push it in, but by pushing it in and attaching it, we'd be affecting the angles of the arms. Right now it moves relatively easy. Obviously they're twisting in there. But if I push it in on each side, it doesn't move at all. So that needs to be freely moving. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to take the mount and I might flatten it out, or I might just have to push it up and further back into the firewall. The issue with bringing it down is the HVAC system. That's one of the mounting holes for it right here, and I'm worried as of now that the motor actually might be in its way, or they might hit each other. So I might actually have to take the motor out and redo it and turn it completely horizontal, so that way it runs parallel with the HVAC system. So just a lot of tinkering, figuring out what'll work and what won't work, but I do know for a fact that that has to be bent either up or down. That way this can fit well into place. But so far everything fits. There's plenty of clearance. Obviously there would be because the motor is on the outside of the bracket and not the inside. So I just need to make sure with the HVAC system we're good to go there, and I'll make some modifications, see how it works, and we'll give you guys an update shortly. Alrighty, the verdict is I need to remove the motor and pilot 3 new holes for it. I'm going to turn it completely horizontal with the HVAC system. We're relatively close to the HVAC system, but there is some ductwork that comes out in this general area, and so we're going to need extra room to funnel all the ductwork into the HVAC system. So the more room I can get out of this right now, the better for the end result. So I'm just going to pop it off really quickly, screw out 3 more holes, bolt it back in, and test fit it again. Alrighty, here's a little update. Kyle deconstructed the 2016 motor. We don't have any way of putting power to it, so his hand is the power right now. So just kind of giving you an example of how it's going to work and rotate once we do have power to it. Look at those windshield wipers. So everything's moving freely, nothing's sitting back there. It shouldn't, because that's the exact same setup as the original truck with the exact same arms and the assembly, so nothing should hit anything anyways. The only issue we had was with the firewall, but we kind of knew that because that's where one of the mounting brackets were, but that's pretty much it. So hypothetically speaking, once we get the power and the harness to this motor, and the big reason why we wanted to use this motor was because everything's a plug and play with our wiring harness. So toss these back on, plug in the wiring harness, and it should hypothetically do exactly what Kyle's hand is doing to it right now. All right, you guys, that's a wrap for today's episode. Yes, I'm doing the intro and the outro all at the same place. I was lazy today. But yeah, that's the episode. We're gonna start doing a lot more short and concise videos. Not necessarily how-tos, but a lot of little things that need to get done for the project to get completed. So like today we did the windshield wiper assembly. We'll do one on how to reinstall the dashboard. All these tiny little projects that have to get done, but aren't necessarily a lot of content to make up a 30-minute long video. And I don't want to lump them all together and wait 3 months to get a video out. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.